Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and this time we're joined by Ash Paulson to discuss our thoughts on the latest stage coming to Super Smash Bros. Wii U, being Orbital Gate. So let's get started. Alright Ash, so this is kind of a surprise. Now this isn't truly a new unveiling, but it kind of is, because we did see this picture before, a picture of the stage before. We weren't entirely sure it was a stage, but we were pretty sure. But we had no idea how it was going to work, and even though we had our thoughts back then on how we thought it might work, turns out it's basically an entirely new stage. in that it doesn't function at all as we expected, which was that it would function like past Great Fox stages. So this time we can see that it basically has at least 3 different sections, with you starting off in the Great Fox in a side-scrolling section, not being a head-on one like we thought it could have been as well, followed by a section where you're riding a missile, and then it'll ultimately end up with you riding the R-Wings through a tunnel of the gate. So basically this is all themed to the Orbital Gate stage from Star Fox Assault. So before we get too deep into how this will all work, what is your overall impression of how this stage, this stage in general, from what you've seen?
This looks awesome. It looks like
right?
It honestly just looks like a roller coaster ride. I mean, it's exciting to see Star Fox in HD at all, but this just looks like a roller coaster ride. Through, I mean, you're riding all these different vehicles. You know, there's a whole battle going on that's based on the Orbital Gate stage from Star Fox Assault, of course. And it's just, the lighting looks great, the colors are great. This just looks awesome overall. It looks like it kind of combines what we loved about the Great Fox stages and Lilac Cruise from Brawl, and kind of adds its own unique elements, and kind of we ending up with like kind of a giant smorgasbord of a new Star Fox stage. You
stole my comparison, because you totally nailed it there. Yeah, I really like what I've seen of this stage, you know, with how many different sections there are to it. So I guess we'll break it down, basically. So it looks like in Section 1, you'll be starting off on the Great Fox itself, and we can see Fox and Zero Suit Samus standing here on the ship. And it looks like the ship's actually a decent size, I think, compared to like how it was in Melee, from what I can tell.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Scale-wise, it actually seems a little smaller than what it was in Melee.
You think so?
Yeah, well, at least, yeah, based on how large Fox is compared to the entire area that you have to run along the Great Fox, it does seem a little smaller, because it doesn't actually seem like you can fight on the rear of the Great Fox like you could in Melee.
Well, that's true. If you're counting that, you're definitely right. If you count just the top part, the top portion, I'm not entirely sure, because it looks like it might be bigger than me. But you are right. It looks like you won't be able to drop into the back there. Although I wonder if you will, if you might be affected by the jet that comes out there.
Right.
After this, it looks like you'll somehow transition to riding the missile. At least that's assuming that these pictures are chronological, which I'm guessing they are.
I think they are, yeah.
Yeah, and you can see a missile there in that first screenshot. So, do you think will you be forced onto the missile at some point, or can you stay on the Great Fox and just be flown off screen?
Well, my guess is maybe that it works a lot in the same way that it does in the Pilot Wing stage, right, where it's kind of a forced change, but you're not necessarily, KO'd for staying on the Great Fox. Like, it'll just fly off screen, and the missile will then become the active platform, but you're not necessarily penalized for staying on the Great Fox as it flies off.
Right. So it looks like you'll be riding the missile then into the Orbital Gate itself. And Sakurai himself says the force field shields the machinery for a while, and the missiles will eventually get shot down by Team Star Fox. But, so I'm wondering, will you ride a single missile, and will it just, drill into the Orbital Gate continually? Or will you, or will the missile be shot down, and will you switch to a different missile, perhaps? Will a different missile fly in, or will you just drop onto the R-Wings then at that point?
I don't know, it's hard to say. It seems to me to make more sense for there only to be one missile each round, and then you drop right onto the R-Wings. So it looks like maybe, yeah, the missile will get shot down, the R-Wings will fly in, and then those will become the active platforms for the final parties.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Now, I do wonder one thing here, and that is, I believe in the original game itself, Star Fox Assault, Team Starwolf was here as well.
Yes.
I think they were actually helping out. So do you think they'll appear here?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Maybe not even every time, but it's kind of like an Easter egg, kind of like how you get the Wolfins to show up in the Corneria Melee stage once in a while instead of the R-Wings. And this actually might kind of tie in to what Chris was talking about in that discussion where he talked about the Star Fox voice actors.
Oh, that's true.
This could be exactly why they're credited. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there were some Easter egg conversations with the Star Fox Assault voice acting team, like there were in Brawl for the Lilac Cruise.
And previous to that, yeah, Melee. So you're absolutely right. It's kind of like a running theme for this series now.
Yeah, it seems like, and I kind of wonder if maybe Beltino Toad, who's Slippy's father, might actually have a few lines too, just because he does show up in that stage in Star Fox Assault.
Oh, that's a good one. You're right. He had a
Could be fun.
He had a pretty big role there. Okay, so after the missile thing, Sakurai says here that you'll hop onto the R-Wings automatically. But he doesn't tie the two directly together, but I'm guessing that's what happens. Like, Star Fox shoots down the missile and you drop onto the R-Wings.
That seems to be exactly what's going on here.
Right. And then you'll fly through the orbital gate, and I'm guessing you'll pass by, a few other things. So, basically it's a flying section like Pilot Wings, but this time it looks like there'll be at least two R-Wings for you to jump between, and maybe even more will show up, or even maybe Star Wolf will show up, and you can hop between them as well.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing, maybe the platforms or the ships will fly around in different formations here.
Yeah, it looks like some point between the second and third screenshots is when the overall camera angle changes. Because now, in the third screenshot, we're at a view behind the R-Wings.
That's true.
As Fox and Zero Suit Samus are fighting on them in a horizontal orientation. And we're kind of going through the gate from a third-person point of view, instead of a kind of a side-scrolling view, which we see in the first screenshot. So,
will it make sense then, I think, if, in the second screenshot, the R-Wings come in from behind the camera, shoot it down, and then, then they fly underneath and you drop right onto them.
Yeah, that seems to make perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess, so my question is, what happens after this? I guess, do you just cycle onto the next missile? Like, are the missiles endless?
My guess is that probably the R-Wings will fly back to regroup with the Great Fox, from which the stage will repeat.
Right. I think that makes sense. The only other thing, which is a completely crazy idea, is if you go through the orbital gate to the Apparate homeworld like you did in the game. But that seems like that would be a little bit too epic for even this stage.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like that Sakurai would have said something about that if that was the case.
Right.
I don't believe that he's hidden major elements of the stage from us before.
Mm-hmm.
When he's officially revealing a stage like this. So I'm pretty sure that what we're seeing is generally the whole gist of the stage.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, do you have any final thoughts or ideas at all about the stage we haven't mentioned yet?
Not really. Just that honestly, the Wii U version really seems to be bringing it with stages between this and Gamer from last week, and it kind of makes me wonder if this is our big stage blowout for the week, if we're still going to get a new stage for the Wii U version on Friday, as we have for the past couple of weeks.
That's a great question, because this basically is, I guess we technically knew about the stage before, but it really does feel like the official unveiling of the stage. Yeah. With that said, I wouldn't rule out the possibility of having another stage on Friday. Simply because, there's only, 8 weeks, really? Not even that, I think. Well, actually, yeah, roughly 8 weeks until the Wii U's, launch, or should be. Being November 21st, I think, the unofficial date.
Right.
Which means if they stick to announcing just a stage per week, that's only 8 stages.
That's true.
And there should be far more than that in the final Wii U version of the game. Unless it has a total stage count similar to the 3DS version.
Yeah, we're obviously hope that it doesn't, because the 3DS version already has a surprisingly small total stage roster, no matter how good the stages themselves are. So I think we're both hoping the Wii U version kind of brings it in terms of the total stage count.
So sticking with that, like at a minimum, I would expect there to at least be one more stage per week, and I feel like if they want to announce them all, which they may not, they're going to have to crank it up to maybe two during some weeks.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily will announce them all, because, it's not like we knew about every stage in the 3DS version.
That's true.
Before that came out. Like, they never showed us Magikant. Or, no, of course, that was tied to what was then an unlockable, or what was then a secret character. So,
right.
Maybe they will. It's kind of hard to say, but this does call further into question that Tower of Smash rumor. Mm-hmm. Not that obviously it did have the Great Fox in there, but we now know that the stage is called Orbital Gate.
Right.
And along with last week's stage being called Gamer and not Game & Wario, it's not a hard disconfirmation, but it is starting to stand on slightly shakier ground.
Yeah, the names not being correct could be a problem. It'll be, of course, once we get a stage, it wasn't on there at all. Then that's when we can...
it's still perfectly permissible, or even likely that someone who's not familiar with Star Fox could see the stage and go, "Oh, Great Fox."
Right.
But it is getting a little more questionable.
So I guess my final question is: do you think is this the Great Fox stage for Wii U? Like, do you think we will see another Great Fox return, or do you think this is it?
Oh, I guess it's possible we could see Corneria return from Melee again, but I kind of hope not. It already returned in Brawl and Smash 3DS. I think because the Great Fox is in this stage, it would almost be more likely to get Venom back, just because that's the Great Fox but from a different orientation.
Right.
Although I hope not, because that stage is terrible. So honestly, I don't think... I don't know, it seems like we wouldn't necessarily get another Star Fox stage coming back, like Corneria.
Right.
But the stages aren't exactly the same, so maybe we will.
Yep, it's hard to say. But I do hope we have another stage this Friday. Looking forward to that, to see if that's the case.
Me too. I would love to. I mean, now that the 3DS version will be officially out in all territories as of Friday, which means Sakurai can start revealing secret characters or hidden characters. So my ideal situation on Friday is that we get a NES reveal on the site along with the Wii U screenshot of Magic.
That'd be nice. Hopefully
that's my ideal scenario, so here's hoping.
Alright, well I think that wraps up for our discussion this week, or today even. There'll be more this week. Thanks for watching, guys, and of course keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks guys. Bye.